Okay, I'm going to make a video on how to create a custom brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, for an example, I'm going to create a brush with this rust pattern for illustrating. So first thing I'm going to do is I have an image, and first thing I do is I look at my image resolution to make sure it's nice. And for me, I like it large because you can always reduce it down. Right now it's at 72 for this image. I'm going to turn this up to at least 200 so that my image itself, I'm going to crisp it up a little bit by playing around with the image adjustment, so with the levels. And I just want to tighten up the levels because it might be a little bit blurry around here. So what I'm doing, I'm going to darken some parts of it. I'm going to turn up the brightness on others just so it'll help give it a better image. And sometimes I have to play around with it to get what I'm looking for. So there it goes right there. Then the second thing I do is I duplicate this layer because I turn the bottom one off just in case I mess it up. I still have my original image. All right, so I'm going to save that right quick. As I already have it saved as Rust Red, I'm just going to save it as a PSD file so I can always go back to it at this point if I mess it up. All right, so now I'm going to take and I'm going to convert this to a grayscale. And right now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm not going to merge because I want to keep the layers. And I'm going to put a, actually right at this point it doesn't matter if I keep the layers or not. I'm going to inverse it just to see what it's going to look like if I invert it, to see if I get a different pattern. That's too light from what I want. I can always create two different types of brushes, but right now I'm going to go back to the original format. So I usually check it before I go. So I'm just showing you my process. From here, I'm going to go from grayscale to bitmap just to see what it's going to look like, just to check it. And I don't want the halftone screens. So what I want to do is have the 50% threshold. And then I'll look at it. So it has a nice pattern. So if I decide to keep it like that, this would come out with as a nice brush. But what I don't like, and the reason I did this first, is I want to see, you see how you have the sharp edges around it. You don't want to have sharp edges around your work. Even if I invert it at this point, just to check it to see what it's going to look like, that would come up with a pretty nice pattern, and it doesn't have the edges. So you could always use this as your brush. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to take, where am I right here? I'm going to make sure it's on. It's okay. Still in bitmap. I'm going to go back one more stage before the bitmap. So I'm going to go back to grayscale, and while it's in grayscale, I'm going to get rid of some of my edges by using some of my other brushes. I'm going to put a white background behind it also. So make a new layer. It's going to add white under it. So when I finish taking out some of the edges, I'll still have my white background. So what I'm going to do now is get me another one of my other brushes that has texture, and just slowly take out some of the edge of, just look and see which ones I have, some of the edge of my brushes. Let's see which ones I have. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna turn this one down a little bit. Okay, I like this one. Turn it up, just make it a little larger. It's going to help me when I take out some of the edges. Okay, so grab the paintbrush. That one, yeah, I like that one better. Okay, so make it a little bit large. So I'm gonna erase some of this stuff. And I got 100%. 100%. Make sure I'm on this layer with my texture. And I'm just going to take out some of that a little bit larger so I can take out bigger humps. And I just don't want a hard edge, so I can just come in here and get rid of some of that. Then I can stamp it and just make different pattern textures around the edge, so that it's not just in one area. I want it kind of big. I'm gonna go a little bit larger. take out bigger portions, especially around the edges. Let me reduce it down. Oops. Take it down just a little bit. Zoom out. There we go. I was going to make sure I have the little edges around so I can see the edge. My eraser, and make it even bigger. Just take out bigger stamp portions of it. And I can go up and down in here. I just want to have a hard edge around. I could change the pattern also. So even sometimes I'll mix up a brush. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to change a different texture. Here we go. Turn this one down just a little bit. Okay. And I can change some of the pattern. I just want that hard edge around the bottom, around the side. So I switch some of my brushes back and forth just to get rid of some of that. Here we go. So it's not bad. It has a different texture to it. So some of this won't even show up right. It'll be gone. Right. So now I got rid of the hard edge. I can go and get ready to. I'm gonna duplicate that as well. Turn that one off. Drag it under the bottom. So I'm just gonna focus on this one. Again, I'm gonna save as just to keep that all of my original layers that I tweaked. So I'm gonna switch this. Go to Edit. You want to come. Image mode. You want to go to bitmap. 50% threshold. Bam. Now I have a brush that has rough edges and it doesn't have that hard chisel edge around it. And I got little stuff, on the end. I can always go back in there and erase whatever I don't like. But for right now, I like this pattern. I go back to mode. I switch back to grayscale. Right. From grayscale, because I have the white background, I go back to edit. I come down here to define brush presets. And then right here, now you see you have your brush. And it's like, I guess it's like my 2,222nd brush. And I have it has a name now, Rust Red. I'm gonna erase the PSD on the end of it. I just want to call it Rust Red for my brush. Once I hit OK, now you see my brush moving around. I can actually create different patterns. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna turn it off. Create me a new layer just so you can see it. I'm gonna give it a white background. All right, so now I'm going to make a new layer just to show you how the brush works. Go right down here and pick my Rust Red brush. See, it's already in my. It automatically goes to my brush list, and I'm gonna just make it a little smaller. So I'm gonna switch a pattern so you can see. That's if I stamp it. So if I draw, I can turn the opacity down, and then basically I can start painting texture with it. Just so you, if I'm doing like some really large background, you can see how it looks. I'm gonna switch over to RGB. Don't merge. And so now with the large brush, if I was doing some design, I could always just stamp it. Give it a, just work with some blue, so give it a blue. And I'm gonna turn the opacity down. And now I have a huge background. I can just stamp it. You wanna go really be careful because there you go. So now I can stamp it like that on, and if I keep stamping over top of it, I make some really cool patterns to use for my design. And then once I have that, of course, I can always take and turn the opacity down right there. So this is how you create a brush. And if you follow this process, no matter what, you can take any image, or you can create your own brush by just making dots and patterns, or you can take a photo and create brushes from random stuff like rust. As a matter of fact, since I call that one Rust Red, I always change that color to red. Bam. Or some dirty red color to make it look more like rust. Bring it down like that. And that is how I create my brushes and then apply it to some of my designs.